Hey, Lance.
What's up, Shy? How are you?
I'm good. We're live.
We're live. Welcome to a Goldnerds live podcast. I'm your host, Lons, and I'm joined by my co-host, Shy. Hi, Shy.
Hi, I'm here, and we've already got people on board making comments. We got Mandy. Mandy's been following us. She's a big Haley fan, I think. And
Nice.
and
Hi, Mandy.
Andrew's here too. Thank you, Andrew, for being excited. We're really excited. We haven't done this in a while.
We haven't, and we haven't done it live in an even longer time. So we're really excited to be here, guys. And let's get started. How have you
Absolutely.
been? It's been a
You know,
minute.
it's been a minute. It's been a while since we've seen each other and talked. Although I have sent you pictures of myself trying to FaceTime you, just with like my face like. But we haven't been able to connect. It's been good. The family has been adjusting to quarantine life, and we are doing our best, feeling very grateful overall. I would say, like, as difficult as these times are for everybody, like our family's having it like it's going okay for us. So I'm definitely grateful, and watching a ton of TV and movies, which is a lot of fun. Even some 80s like throwback cult movies that I now have like new editions of my wish list of movies. So
Oh, I can't wait to get to
for
that.
the show. How have you been?
I've been great, COVID-19, I always have my mask. It's a survivor buff.
Oh, let me give a close up. Let me give a close up of the
Always
survivor.
on
Oh,
me.
that's me. Let's see that. Show that the survivor buff.
Right
I didn't
there,
know what a survivor.
survivor.
I didn't know what a survivor buff was until you just explained it to me recently.
Yeah, that's what they wear on Survivor. It's like their like outfit. Um, I've been good surviving COVID 2019. Pretty well.
2020.
Family's good.
20, I
It's
think the years
2020,
is.
but it's COVID-19.
Oh, it's
So
COVID-19. Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, all right. Yeah, COVID-19. Yeah, it's silly me.
COVID-19 in 2020. Yeah, family's good and everything. Nothing to complain about. Still healthy and safe, and yeah, not much you can complain about during this time. So if you're in our position, so pretty happy. The
Very cool.
summer is going by. Have a summer is going by.
Yeah, wow. This is like as far as have a summers go. This is as have a summer as it goes.
Yeah, it really is. If
Like,
only Erica knew back in the 80s what it was going to be like in 2020.
oh yeah, wow. Right. Like this is something from one of the movies that Adam probably watched back in the day.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. One of those world is ending movies that scared everybody.
Oh, Mandy, by the way, is explaining. So it seems that the messages that are coming into our streaming app are a little bit behind the ones that are coming up live. Mandy has since explained that Erica saw her IG story before, and that's why she has her as a picture. So that's awesome. That's very cool.
That's
Haley,
very cool.
Haley,
Glad to hear it.
Haley is super cool. She's one of the people that have never been on the has never been on the podcast. Maybe Haley one day will catch up with us. So there's also a big reveal that we're about to get in the comments. All right. If everyone's ready here. Okay. So Andrew, who said hello earlier, just dropped some major gold nerd fandom, like Batman reveal kind of news here. Okay.
Oh wow.
Check this out.
Oh my god, they talked about you on the panel.
You bet.
Congrats, Andrew.
Yeah, congrats, Andrew. That's amazing. Like Wendy herself, I think, brought it up.
Yeah.
So that's it. The identity revealed. Andrew is the person behind the Beverly Goldberg sweater. That's terrific. And thanks for being with us here, Andrew. We love having Gold Nerds with us.
Yeah. And that's becoming quite an iconic Twitter too, is Beverly Goldberg sweater. I mean, I didn't think I needed that in my life until I had it, and now I can't imagine my life without it. So very appreciative, Andrew, for all your hard gold nerding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So before we talk about the panel, we one of the things we discussed is that we wanted to address a pretty like there's rarely awful news in the Goldnerds world, right? In the Goldverse. But we also didn't want to be oblivious to the recent allegations from the recent allegations that came out in the LA Times regarding the actor who plays Coach Meller. And we're a fan podcast that does not talk about super serious things, so it's not going to be something that we try to litigate here. We don't feel like we're qualified, but there, like, as a basis though, just so folks know unequivocally where we stand, um you know allegations like this have to be taken 100% seriously, has to be investigated, has to be taken seriously, and it's important to believe women and believe survivors. And again, we're not going to dive deep into a particular case because we're not qualified to do that. But we also don't want there to. In fact, I received an email recently from someone who said, "Hey, are the Goldnerds going to comment on it?" And I would say, to the extent that the Goldnerds are going to comment on it, that's what we're going to say about this. And we're probably, you'll probably see a little bit less of us bringing up that particular character or actor than we have in the past, because it's time for a little hiatus on that while the situation unfolds. Lons, how about you? Do you have what to add there?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously believe the allegations. You have to take them seriously, like you said. Believe women, believe the survivors of that. So, there's not much else to comment about that. I know that he will not be returning to the Goldbergs for season 8. So there will be, that's just reason enough probably not to talk about him going forward. The character itself, we love Coach Meller. We love the real Coach Meller. So sad that he's no longer with the Goldverse. But, the like you said, we have to take this seriously, and taking it seriously means parting ways with an actor and parting ways with separating the two, separating the actor and the character. So character's great, character lives in the Goldverse forever, and we love the character of Coach Miller, and we'll think of the character fondly, but I think it's time to part ways with the actor and moving forward from that.
Yeah. I think that's well said. And also pay respect to the real life coach. I mean, real life Coach Miller is a real person who I'm sure has nothing to do with this. He was a teacher of my cousins in school, and he's a good guy. And with that, I feel like let's just move on to what we came here to talk about, which is
let's move on to Comic-Con 2020.
Yeah.
Looks a little different this year. It's all virtual, kind of how we live in the Goldverse. The Goldnerds podcast is all virtual. So Comic-Con 2020 was all virtual this year, which, good and bad, it allowed all different types of all fans to join the conversation, whereas only in the past they would post certain clips and it was very exclusive to those that got to attend. So that's a positive aspect. I think the negative is that you miss out on the cast chemistry and like the lightning, like a lightning in the bottle when they're all together.
Yeah, them like goofing around on stage, right? Like that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, goofing around on stage. They feed off of each other live, and I think that's a little harder to do virtually. And it kind of comes through on the screen. That was just my personal opinion on the Comic-Con panels as a whole this year.
That was the only one I watched. I was sort of like, the whole thing made me like anxious that like this thing, like it was a lot of pressure to now have access to all of these Comic-Con panels that you normally hear about people lining up for and you're never going to hear anyway. So you just wait for that bootleg cell phone footage. So this is the only one I watched.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a few of them. It's just not the same. It's not the same as it being live. And like, I'd much prefer someone's shaky phone camera than, a virtual panel. Just because, like I said, I think they feed off of each other's energy when they're together, and it's much more vibrant to kind of watch. Plus productions haven't been in production yet. Shows haven't been in production yet, so there isn't even any footage to like get excited about yet.
That is true. Although there were some great hints about the season to come, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Goldbergs specifically. Started off with a great montage of what we've seen so far. So past 7 seasons. I mean, they really went deep in the archives for some of these things, stuff that I not forgot, but just haven't thought about in years, you know? And I don't know. I thought that was a great montage. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, our kids love that show, so it's on a constant loop, except the Freddy Krueger episode, which one of my daughters made a point to say, if you see Adam tonight, which I don't think we're going to, if you see Adam tonight, could you tell him that the Freddy Krueger, the Freddy Krueger episode really scared us. So aside from that, our kids are constantly watching all the seasons, like at any given time, as if this was just like if it was TV land in our house. And so a lot of it is like a little bit more familiar. But one of the things that came up in the panel that kind of blew my mind is when you think about, in particular, Sean Gambroni. When you think about him as a little kid with that like funny voice that he started with, and how much he's grown into it, that to me is really a joy to watch. Everybody else kind of looks the same, but Sean really, I mean, rarely does a kid start so young and then grow up to be so funny.
And I would say, you know, he's what, 19, I think now. And, you know, we're going into 8 years. You know, the pilot was filmed months before it was, you know, released to the public. So he was even younger. So let's say, I mean, he was probably 10 years old when they did the pilot.
Wow.
And it's crazy to, yeah, 10 years old, I would say, when he did the pilot. And it's just crazy to think how much he has grown. And, you know, Troy said that he wanted them to do a big episode. And I feel like we got to live out a big episode in Sean's growth. Like he started out as a little boy and now he's like this man now.
That is, oh man, the idea of doing a big episode would just be amazing. We've already done the body.
You know, they brought up that
big as a mess.
He would become Patton, which would be so awesome to have Patton on screen. I think one of my wishes is to have Patton come on screen and be adult Adam.
That would be so good. Oh, all right. You heard it here, Goldnerds. Again, Lon's dropping the great pitches. And you know, there's some awesome folks in the chat. Thank you all for joining. This is a lot of fun. And Andrew, our buddy, who's Beverly Goldberg Sweaters, he asked, who do we think is going to get married? And in the panel, they did reveal that a wedding is potentially happening, right? Is that like, were they hinting at it, or did they really, or were they like, what's the, right? They did say a wedding, right?
Yeah, I heard wedding. I think we all heard wedding. I've been reeling about whose wedding it could have been. I've narrowed it down to 2 couples. I think it was either Bev and Murray doing a vow renewal again. Because remember in season 2, they had their vow renewal and like did the dancing and stuff.
Yeah.
Or it's Erica and Jeff.
I mean, Erica
and crazy.
It would, an Erica and Jeff wedding would be very cool, because it would make sense in that if Lainey is off on her 10 years away from everybody and she doesn't really know what happened to Jeff and Erica, or maybe it's sort of, or maybe she's at the wedding, but then she goes away. Like, it would make sense. It would make sense for it to be a Jeff and Erica wedding. And you know me, like I'm all in on Jerica, have always been. So I would love to see that. But that leaves us a question though. If there's a wedding, And Mandy asked this. Mandy asked, "Is Lainey coming back? Do we think we know school has been canceled, but AJ is such a huge part of the Goldverse. Like, does she
Yeah.
reappear?"
Yeah, I can confirm that she's coming back.
Okay, you have done you
Uh,
have done some serious research. Then, how'd you find
I've
that
done
out?
some yeah, my secret ways.
Okay, well, no, hey,
Um,
we,
I've
we won't
done,
reveal them, but that's amazing.
yeah, I just did some really strong gold nerding, and don't worry, fans, Lainey will be back to the Goldbergs, the mothership. She will be back. In how many episodes or in what capacity, I don't know. Um, but I know she will be back. So you heard it here first.
All right, so we're thinking. I'm thinking it's a Jericho wedding. I don't want it to be like a vow renewal. It could also be a Bill Lewis wedding. That could be where Lainey comes back. Is
Oh,
Bill Lewis right? Didn't he get a girlfriend? Right? Wasn't he set up
he
with
did
like
get a girlfriend.
Beverly's nemesis? I feel like it could be like a Bill Lewis wedding, and that would bring Lainey back for an episode. And then you'd have some, because Jeff and Erica are still kind of young. He isn't a radiologist. Radiologist? No, he's an ophthalmologist just yet. So Bill Lewis would be my guess.
Okay, that's a good guess. I think maybe it's wishful thinking that it's Jerica. I think we both want to see it. Um, but yeah, you're
That
right.
could
I mean, how old are they're
that
19 years old, 20.
Yeah, exactly. Like that could be the end of the show, right? Like that could be something we see towards the end of the show.
Yeah. But yeah, you heard a wedding. They said that they will do the wedding again. It's just it won't be the premiere, which we got a scoop on what the premiere is. It's Airplane.
Yeah. Did you grow up watching that movie?
No,
So
I
I
haven't
I
seen it, but I will.
so Airplane. I mean, it's funny. It's a classic. It's also like a lot of the movies from that era, very dated. And I think like a lot of that movie wouldn't fly today, but I remember seeing it, it's in the same vein as the Naked Gun movies. I believe it's made by the same folks who made the Naked Gun movies. It's that, the very classic line, the classic Leslie Nielsen line of, Shirley, you don't, and he goes, "Don't call me Shirley." And that, like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. There's also this like really bizarre thing where the people get sick and they start eggs, like hard-boiled eggs start coming out of their mouths. I feel like that's something we're probably going to see is the hard-boiled egg, whatever instance. Like everyone's going to get sick on this plane. That is like guaranteed what's going to be part of this, in my opinion. But Airline is considered it's a comedy classic. There are other ones from that genre that I like more. I think there's Top Secret, which is from that same group of producers. I think Hot Shots counts as part of that as well. And I always like the first two Naked Gun movies. But that's a good classic sort of pillar of comedy. So I wonder what cameos we'll get in that one. Like, will I think Julie Haggerty is the lead. Will she appear? Or the main guy whose name I never remember. Like I feel like that's who we're ripe to see appear in the show.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I'd imagine we'll get maybe one guest star. I think that is in the budget for them. Is probably a one guest star type of budget. So choose your fighters is right now.
So Andrew agrees with us. He thinks it's Bill and Dolores. So that's great. And then Brendan, we see your question. We'll get to that in a little bit. Because we're going to keep talking about the panel for now. And do you like, by the way, Lons, do you like our new setup? We are now both in the same living room.
I like it. I feel like I'm like kind of in Murray's chair. Hopefully, sitting in it. That's my dream, is to just sit in Murray's chair all day and watch football.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be so great. I want to sit and watch 12 hours of football in that chair so badly.
With Lucky on my lap. Beverly making me nachos.
Oh, those nachos look so good. And when she has them delivered on the little truck when she's not allowed on the carpet. Oh,
Yeah.
what a classic moment. I love that moment. So, uh, one of the questions that they asked was, or they talked about at the opening was, is the right they said they revealed the writers' room is open. They're working via Zoom. They're moving forward. They're planning to start shooting in August. You work in the industry. What that we expect a new season in the fall. Do you think that studios have gotten like ready for this, like the new precautions? Like it's a different industry than like your average restaurant opening or even like a school. I imagine the amount of control that can be exerted on a set is pretty high. But do you think studios are there yet where they can keep the actors and cast safe?
I know my studio's there. So I've been in meetings with doctors about going back to production. Um, and they're taking it very seriously. It's going to be the AD who's scheduling out actors to come in. It's going to be his job to, they have to quarantine. If they're on a different set, they have to quarantine before coming onto this set and retake the test. And you could get the test day of, or like right. My friend got like a blood prick, and she got her results like right then and there. So it's like you can get the results very fast. Um, but you have to quarantine. So I think they have to quarantine for like 9 days. Like, so guest stars, it's like they go off one show and come on to another show. They have to quarantine. So it's like a lot of logistical things that, the AD is probably going to have to take care of. And
Well,
like the line
I
producer.
hope Dan Fogler is in like a nice like steel box for a number of weeks because I'm really missing Uncle Marv right now.
Yeah, so I mean, and he's a busy guy too, so you have to like schedule around his quarantining. And then on set, they're taking a lot of precautions. They're wearing masks. Like everyone's wearing masks. Even the actors are wearing masks right before shoot. Um, and yeah, they're taking it. They have doctors on set and everything. So
You would expect the same thing for ABC or Sony in this case, right? I guess Sony.
yeah, I'd expect Sony to have the same protocols. I think it's an industry wide like set of standards that they've come up with. So I think like Wendy said, they're going to be starting shooting in soon, and it just might take longer, which they might be longer days than they're used to, um, and longer length. Because I think, maybe since they normally end at like late February, early March, right? They might be going into late March or something. I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but they could be like filming a lot longer, and maybe. Yeah, so I know that there's a lot of controls in place, and I don't know why schools can't have the same controls as like a movie set, but um
Well,
you know.
I think like think about yourself as a kid. I don't know. You were much like the kids in my school were always like bucking authority. You're such like a good student, but like the people and the sets are being paid. The kids are being like
That's true.
forced to go to school, so
That's
they're
true.
already they're
You're right.
already fighting it. I mean, think about the senior prank that Barry did. So Kermit DeFons. One of the all that's a gold nerd whose reveal I would love to know his. I mean, we found out Bev Sweaters. Kermit DeFons is a mysterious character, but just do a Doogie Howser episode where everybody wears masks. That is
Absolutely.
amazing. That is
Yeah, Barry
amazing.
Barry could be on a Doogie Howser, craze. And I think we had that episode where there was the cold opening was him watching Doogie Howser when with Lainey. But they could expand on that, I think, a little more, and everyone just wears masks. That would be an easy episode to get through.
That would be funny. Very meta moment. Thank you, Kermit. One of the best Twitter handles in all of Twitter.
Totally. Love
Referencing
him.
one of my favorite episodes, which oh yeah, so good. So good.
So I think they'll be ready to start shooting in late August, early September. Um, I I think also like shows, we're used to having the Goldbergs start late September. I think it's going to be pushed to October probably. I don't think it's shows are going to go back the way to the normal like late September kind of rollout for premiere week. So expect the Goldbergs to unfortunately come later in the year than we're used to. So we'll just have to wait a little longer for season 8.
But then, if they get the act, if you get the act, if you get the act together, then we'll get. I think because they'll be able to plan ahead. We'll get a full season. I think it'll be really rewarding. It'll be
Yeah.
very much worth the wait. So on the panel, there's I had some things. I don't know what you want to say about the panel, but there were some things that stood out for me.
Yeah, let's go with highlights. Hopefully people watch the panel. We tweeted it out YouTube style, so hopefully you watch the panel and you have your own thoughts on it. But let's do highlights of the panel. If you want to start, Shy.
Yeah, sure. So I enjoyed the very human moments, like Haley forgetting Jeff's name and calling him Sam's character.
I do that too because I'm such a learner head that I just refer to I confuse Sam and Jeff all the time. I think they're one person. I'm just like a huge learner head. So yeah, I do that too, Haley.
Yeah, and then on the subject of Jeff, I really loved. I mean, Sam always brings it, right? This might as well be the Learner Head podcast. Sam, yeah, Andrew mentions a good one here. George complimenting Sean. That was maybe like brought tears to my eye moment.
Yeah.
That was just like, whew, that got in my heart. To have a legend like George Siegel complimenting Sean was so amazing. But for me, the other one was Sam talking about Jeff's. I mean, he didn't use the word Lucian, but him talking about Jeff's Jeff-olution, him talking about how he expects, how you're seeing Jeff grow up, and we're going to see more of that. And so I even made a special banner for this, Lucianing so hard, one of the Lon's sayings of this podcast. Lucianing so hard.
Yeah,
So I think we expect to see more of that.
They said that Jeff will be standing up to Erica more this season, which I can't wait to see. Maybe saying no a lot more.
Maybe he won't be. I mean, he likes folding the sweaters, though.
I think he'll still continue to fold the sweaters. I think maybe he's gonna say no in other areas.
Here's something. Okay, so the Styles 83 on Periscope, I think he's saying something that you would probably say.
Obviously, Lainey's my favorite character. I want her back. We talked about in the last podcast at the end of the season how sad we are about Schooled ending. Because I miss Lainey. I just want Lainey on. I want Blaney to be together. So I know she's coming back. We just gotta pray and wait till she does. But she'll be back, guys. Lainey is never too far off from the Goldbergs.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I noticed was Wendy, in all of her amazingness, who still is to this. I mean, I say it all the time. She's the quarterback of the show. Similar to the way she was more peripheral in the last season in some respects. I clocked it. It was 13 minutes and 53 seconds, I think, into the panel before the host directed a question at Wendy. And I thought that, I mean, if I got it wrong, I got it wrong. But that was really like the first moment where I really heard her go. And I just would love to know what's your thinking about that? Like, I don't think that's a slight to Wendy. I think if it's anything, it's a if anything, it's a sign of just how much that ensemble has grown, and also just how amazing and classy Wendy is, that she is always making everybody better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even notice how long it took for her to answer a question. Her presence is just felt throughout. I was kind of looking at her the whole time. seeing her reactions to things and what she had to say. And that's just a testament, like you said, to her being the quarterback. I'm looking to her for answers. I don't think it's a slight on her at all. I think the way he structured his questions, it just happened that, oh, thank you, Annie. I think it just happened that her question came in later than normal. I love that they talked about the real life Barry with Troy saying he met him.
Oh yeah, and you're such a big Barry fan, right? Like
I
you,
am.
one
I
of the
identify
lawns,
most with Barry.
and one of the great
I
Lawns theories is that the show is about really secretly about Barry.
Yes, which I still believe is to be true. I think it's a love letter to his big brother Barry. But yeah, I think that was funny when Doug Robinson said that real life Barry challenged him to a race, and the whole cast cracked up.
That was amazing. There was also when Troy says that Barry comes up to him and goes, "Do you know how good at football I was?" Right? Like he's still competitive. He still has that edge. It's so amazing. Yeah, I would say like other than Adam, Barry's probably well, Mrs. G would be amazing, but I would love to hang out with IRL Barry. That would just be incredible.
Me too. Mrs. G probably first, but then Barry.
Yeah. That was amazing. When she called into a live, we don't have any, there are no Goldbergs cast dropping in today, but when we had Mrs. G call in, that was one of the most amazing moments. Oh, just Jen agrees with you. Barry's her favorite.
Great. Yeah. I know. I can't believe we were so lucky to have the real life Mrs. Goldberg call into our little podcast. That was such a special moment. We've had great moments here on the podcast, but that's definitely ranks high for me.
So there was, I would say it was a bittersweet moment, not a bittersweet moment. It's a sweet moment. It was an amazing moment when they talk about the fans. And again, hat tip to Andrew because Beverly Goldberg's sweaters account was officially mentioned on the Comic-Con panel, which made me so happy. Like Goldnerds weren't mentioned by name, like as a term, as sort of a general term, but there was so much love for the fans. So I accept it, even though they didn't mention specifically our group of Goldnerds. Kermit DeFons asked, does Barry really run like that? And I believe, wasn't there a Comic-Con incident where the real Barry like popped up in the audience and did like a whole bit with Adam where he said, "I don't run like that," or something like that, where they argued?
Yeah, there was a bit. I mean, if you ask in real life Barry, he says no, he absolutely does not run like that. But Adam is adamant that he does. So you have to pick your fighter on that. To each his own, I would imagine that Adam is right. Just because I don't think in real life Barry is very self-aware. So, that's just my opinion though. So who knows what the truth is? I'd have to see him run in person.
That's fair. That's right. In my mind though, Troy invented the run. But as you can see, there are folks in the chat who 100% agree with you and with Adam that it's real. I loved when they talked about the guest stars.
Yeah.
Like the love that Haley had for Warren. No, not Warren Oates. Warren Oates? John Oates? Oh man, I'm mixing up the Oateses. Oh, there's the actor. No, there's an actor. Oh my gosh. I'm like, because I've been watching a lot of old movies. And right, okay. So Warren Oates is an actor who is in like old cowboy movies. That's different than John Oates from Hall & Oates. But I loved how Haley was so into John Oates. Longy, did we lose Lonzy there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, cool. I loved how into John Oates Haley was. I actually can't stand that band. I have a running joke with my dad, and they're from Philly, but I have a running joke with my dad that like they are the worst band of all time. And then before COVID, for his birthday, I was going to take him to this big music festival in Philly, which was being headlined by Hall and Oates, and it was going to be like this father-son bonding thing, of me
Does he
doing some.
love Hall and Oates?
He loves them. He loves them. But it's
Okay.
also become like a running joke. Like he'll like get me their CDs, and then but anyway. So I love that Haley like was so excited about this 80s star.
And that reminds me, Haley is starting to perform the songs that she performs on the show live on her Instagram. So go to her Instagram. She just performed a new song or a song from the show. I think it was
She did
by
True
Cindy.
Colors.
True
True
Colors.
Colors. Yeah.
It was True Colors. And she says she'll be performing other songs. Hopefully she does the Styx Sail Away, because that's my favorite performance she's done on the show. But yeah, she's gonna be doing them live on her Instagram, so make sure you check her out.
Yeah, and if you're in the chat now or on Twitter, let us know what covers. Let's tell Haley which covers we want to hear. I want to hear Love Ninja. That's the one I want to hear most. And I want her to do a Zoom duet with Troy on Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, absolutely. Great one.
That's really cool that she's doing that. One of the other things that I really loved on the panel was when they talked about the Erica gag takes.
Yes. And how she it's actually like, I mean, I don't know how else you would do it, but like it's actually her trying to throw up. It's not like a trick or anything. It's her actually like trying to throw up, and then she says if she does it too much time, she's gonna she feels like she's gonna throw up. So it's like very insightful into how that brilliant gag works.
Also, I think this is a reason. I think in general, then celebrities are taking pictures with fans. They should be pretty liberal with what they're willing to do, as people are spending, money to just, as people are just spending money to just take a picture with them. But if the gag is really going to make Haley throw up, like I would say, if I met Haley, I'm not going to ask her to gag. I'm probably going to ask her to sing Love Ninja or Tom Sawyer. I love her version of Tom Sawyer.
Oh
To
yeah,
me,
that was good. I love her versions of all the songs. I think she's like fantastic.
Yeah, I wish I'd gone to see her when she was in Baltimore. That's near our area. That would have been really nice. What about you? What are some of your I know I just like babbled on about the panel, but what are some of your highlights or Easter eggs or things that came out to you?
Well, I really liked what they talked about Sean's character growth for his character arc for this season is going to be him being a popular kid.
In connection to Bria, which I
Right.
really like because it makes me think of the movie Can't Buy Me Love.
Oh, which is literally my favorite 80s movie.
It's a pretty twisted story. That scene, like when he turns, it's sort of like, it's kind of like Mean Girls, but almost like without the happy ending. Because in the end, he doesn't keep his friends. He ends up with the.
Can't Buy Me Love and Say Anything are my two favorite 80s movies of all time. I love Say Anything. But yeah, so I'm really excited to see Sean be popular. I want to know what that looks like for him, or to see Adam popular. Which do you think? I mean, did we establish that he dated Brie in real life, or is this wishful thinking?
No, it's 100% wishful thinking, because he showed at one point in one of the videos like real life Bria and was always too cool for me.
So it's a little bit of wish fulfillment that he's popular now.
I mean, maybe he got popular. Maybe he got popular at that point, but at some point, but I don't know. But yeah, this is definitely. I feel like we're gonna tread on some Can't Buy Me Love type of him losing his leaving Dave Kim behind.
Oh, my heart and soul, Dave Kim.
Or worse, Chad Kramp. I haven't seen Chad Kramp in a while.
We haven't, I wonder where that actor's been. I miss
Yeah.
Chad Kemp. I miss Emmy Mursky, my favorite.
Oh yeah.
But
I wish we had more Mursky.
yeah, but I bet you that's going to be an episode is him definitely being too cool for his friends, and they're going to be really pissed at him. So we'll have to wait and see for that one. But I'm really excited for that storyline to play out. Um, and trying to think, they talked about the cookbook. Have you bought the cookbook?
Yeah, we have the cookbook. We haven't made anything yet because, as is described, I think they were describing on the panel of having eaten one of those real banana breads. Like, it's very dense food. Like, and so we haven't made that yet. But my kids actually, one of their quarantine activities is destroying my kitchen every day, trying to make stuff that then my wife has to go and like repair afterwards. So I think next time I'm just going to give them the Beverly Goldberg cookbook and say, just make stuff from this.
Ooh, perfect. Yeah,
So,
I mean,
multiple birds with one stone.
yeah, I haven't made anything yet. But yeah, that's definitely a goal of mine is to make something from her cookbook. And I love how Haley said she bought it because she's like, when's the next time I'm going to be on the cover of a cookbook?
That's awesome. She bought her own. That's great.
Yeah, she bought her own.
That's great. Oh, it's a hardcover, maybe. So if you got the cookbook, whose signature would you get on it? Would you get Wendy's or Beverly's? Like real
Both.
Beverly?
I'd
Both,
get
right?
both.
That's the dream is both, right?
Yeah, dream is both. I mean, it would be more apropos to get Beverly's because it's her cookbook, That'd be pretty sick.
Andrew
Oh,
did the fudge
Andrew did the
cookies.
fudge cookies. I bet you those were rich. Oh my gosh. I would have food coma with those cookies.
Oh, I want some fudge cookies. That sounds so good. I could really go for some cookies right now. Chad. Okay, so this is just a side story. Chad follows me on Instagram. I assume this is where he got it from. We did I don't know if you saw this, Lens, but thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. I ate a lot of sugary things to calm it down. We did a chicken wings test. My friend and I copied the social distance, but we copied the Hot Ones podcast or YouTube show, and I nearly passed out from the hottest one. My wife had like multiple things and wasn't phased. I nearly passed out. Thank you, Chad, for mentioning that. I appreciate it. I'm glad your prayers were with me. What about when George finally got on the call? To me, that was such a quintessential. It almost felt like a Goldbergs gag that like the elder of the family is having a hard time connecting, and then he jumps on.
Yeah, he's so sweet. Oh my gosh, I just love George Siegel. What a stand-up guy. He was just so thoughtful, so appreciative. Had those such kind words for Sean. What a great guy. I'm so glad he was able to come onto the podcast even for a short little bit.
You mean to the panel? I mean, can you imagine if we got him on the podcast? I mean,
oh my God.
But it was also great when the guy interviewing was like asking him for like really specific things on like episodes. Like this is a guy with a Hollywood career that dates back, 50 years, I think, maybe even more. And like you're asking, he's already been on hit TV shows, and you're asking him to like remember the different seasons. I thought that was a pretty funny moment.
Yeah, but then Troy knew what season it was. It was like season 5 that they were doing. Who's what was it? Who's on the line? What's on the line?
Oh, who's on first? Who's on first? Oh,
yeah,
that's so funny. Like, I mean, that whole scene is absolutely, with the JTP in the outfield, is incredible. I think that George is a treasure. They're so lucky to have him. How do you think they figure out who goes on the panel, right? Like no Jeff Garland, but yes, Wendy, yes, Sean, yes, the 3 kids, but not other characters. Like, how do you think they put that together? And of course the Doug is there, but Adam's not there. Like, how do you think that they figure out who goes on those? Is it...
I think they definitely want the series regulars. Like, they're not going to ask a guest star to go on the panel. They're not going to ask. I mean, AJ was a series regular, so maybe when she was a series, I think she did some press when she was a series regular. But as a guest star now, she's not going to be on the panels. I think they definitely go for series regulars, and I think it's definitely in their contracts. Like, I think somehow Jeff got it out of his contracts because he doesn't do any press. So
he's like, I'm on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like,
yeah.
But to Wendy's credit, she is at all of those things, right? Like,
yeah, she's done them all. So, like, whether it's contract or not, she puts on a smile. So happy to have her on all these panels and everything. And like you said, she's the quarterback. She's the face of the show. She definitely has to show up to these things to promote the show, because it's her show.
Oh yeah, she's just the greatest. So Jeff, I don't know, we're not going to get super specific, but Jeffrey Dashevsky asked where we are broadcasting from. We are definitely not in the same place. I'm on the East Coast in Virginia, and I am originally from the Philadelphia area, so I have some affection.
And I'm on the West Coast in LA.
Yeah, how are you feeling, by the way? We're doing this for once at a pretty reasonable hour for the West Coast. Like, this is kind of late. Thank you for everyone. I don't know where everybody's from, but if you're on the East Coast, thank you for staying up with us. And if you're on the West Coast, I hope you're here because we have the opportunity to do this without, not during your workday for once.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, this is pretty good. Just chilling. It's early. Yeah.
So there's a question that Brendan asked a while ago, which is, what do you think they're going to do with school cancellation in the Goldbergs timeline? What's your thinking on that, Lance?
I hope they don't throw it all to hell and have continuity errors, because that would really grind my gears.
But couldn't that just be explained by your ponytail paradox?
It could. You're right. It could. Unfortunately, I don't know if Adam and the writers subscribe to my ponytail paradox. But
you got to go back. It's an early episode. It's one of the first episodes we recorded when the reins were handed to us by the great Joe and Ash. You presented the TED Talk on the ponytail paradox.
I did.
Which explains all continuity errors in the Goldbergs.
It does. I don't know what they're going to do with school. I don't know. They're going to bring Lainey back. Yeah, ponytail paradox. They're going to bring Lainey back.
But Jen has a question.
Oh, what is the ponytail paradox? Wow. Long story short, the ponytail paradox explains. So Johnny Atkins' ponytail is when they cut it in season.
It was the Zuko episode. It was the Zuko when the Grease episode. Is that the episode where his ponytail breaks?
No, it was 16 Candles. It was the premiere of season 6.
Okay.
They had this. He got his ponytail stuck in the the doorway, and Carla had to get it out. Oh man, do I miss Carla? Shout out to Carla.
Yeah, Alex and Just Jen knew 16 Candles. Thank you for knowing better than me there on that one.
Yeah, so I subscribe to the belief that when they cut his ponytail, good show, good episode. I subscribe to the belief that when they cut his ponytail, that time became a wormhole in which the past, present, future are all the same, and there are no continuity errors within the Goldbergs. So if there's a reference in the late 80s and an early 80s reference in the same episode, it's all explained because of the paradox that is cutting Johnny Atkins' ponytail, which you cannot do.
Yeah, Johnny Atkins' ponytail it's like a linchpin in the quantum the quantum thing. I don't understand that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so you're right. There wouldn't be continuity errors. I don't know how they're gonna. They might not explain school at all. You
I
know,
mean, to me,
Lainey was back last year, and the school was still on, and they didn't really like, say anything. She just was back. So it's like it's not. She went to Hollywood, but they didn't ever say that she didn't come back. From Hollywood, like she was gone for 10 years.
right? She just didn't see Barry much or at all during that period. So they left it open ended enough, but and they've never really said exactly when in the 90s school took place. So I think as long as they don't resolve the stories of the schooled characters until much later, then I think we're fine. My sense is that Barry and Lainey don't get resolved until the finale of the Goldberg series finale. I feel like that is the series finale of the Goldbergs, is giving the fans sort of what they've always wanted, and getting that like some sort of epilogue episode that goes through to a Lainey and Barry wedding. And I've always felt that that's how the Goldbergs was going to kind of end anyway, with some sort of resolution of that between the two shows. That's sort of where I'm at with that. That's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it also goes to the belief that this show's centered around Barry. So if it ends with a Barry wedding, kind of makes it full circle.
We love you, Chad. I hope you heard this. We love you, Chad.
We love you,
Be
Chad.
well. You're the man. You're awesome.
The series started with Barry learning how to drive, and it will end with Barry getting married. So I don't think they're gonna need to explain anything with Schooled. It's a bummer we just don't get to see, those characters again, like Wilma. She became such a great addition to the show.
Yeah, Wilma, CB, like CB, and I was a CB skeptic, and CB started to make a lot of, made a lot of inroads, even though I'll never support CB and Lainey being together. But
Mhm.
it is a bummer, but I also don't think any of the plot lines in Schooled were so consequential, other than Barry and Lainey.
Right.
Yeah, you see,
Agree.
Jen loves CB too. I think so. I can't tell what emojis are those.
Those are like
I can't. You're my emoji interpreter. Is that
that's like
sadness?
yeah, it's like like
Yeah.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
Aunt Julie.
okay, all right. So that's a sad face.
Yeah.
Sad face. Yeah. So I think, but I don't think any of those, like, they didn't build the real question, and it's also the way they built the show, was really ultimately going to be about who Lainey ends up with. And had they, I think, committed a little bit more to CB's own journey, it would have been, I think, like, it would have been more pressing to find out what happens to CB. But now, like, we know he was a real teacher. Like, he's based on a real guy, Charlie Brown, the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bummer. It's a bummer, but I think the only thing that's really incumbent upon them to fix, or to and they didn't really retroactively put schooled characters into the Goldbergs. I mean, not that they could. Like, CB is a teacher who came later. Wilma's a teacher who came later. Unless you're going to have CB be there in Adam's senior year, because people love Brett Dyer, and he did a good job, then sure, maybe. But I
They
don't.
can't have. See, they could have Brett Dyer because we don't know when he started, but they can't have Wilma because she literally started on School. So, like, that would be one of those things that
that
would be
wouldn't
like
work.
a major continuity error if they brought Wilma on.
Yeah, which is a bummer, because I thought, again, she was one of the, like, things that really, really literally sang, because she sang beautifully, but also, like, her character really started to sing, and was a super addition to the show. Andrew asks a great question. What's your favorite Schooled episode? Now that we were saying goodbye to it.
The Beanie Babies episode with when Barry got Lainey the duck Beanie Baby.
Oh, that's great.
Or the platypus Beanie Baby, the super exclusive one.
That's a cool episode. I guess it's not fair to do this to Schooled, but, like, I really loved there's two I'll talk about. One is or maybe these are the same episode. I don't know. The Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion was
Mm,
perfection.
that was so good. You're right.
It
And
was
it had
also,
Carla in it, our beloved Carla.
and it had Evie, didn't it? And it had
Yeah,
Evie,
it did have Evie.
Evie, yeah. And I love that one for a couple reasons. One, it was hilarious. It was a bit like just another, you know, a Goldbergs episode, which I don't have any complaints about, really. But also it gave Schooled some significance. It let Schooled break some news because it gave us the epilogue of Jeff and Erica. And I think
Yeah,
like I get so annoyed when, okay, follow me here. All right. So Star Wars, right, has all these comic books that Disney's creating on the side, right? But the real big things happen in the movies. And so, yeah, it's neat that all these comic books are there, but if they never really commit to serious canonical like events there and just really use it to explain things that already happened, then it's sort of like, you know, and Schooled by revealing that, like it raises up its significance. It's like things in the Goldverse that matter will happen and be revealed in Schooled. So I love that moment.
true.
And then the other one where I don't remember honestly the full episode, but there's just my favorite scene in all of Schooled is CB and the JTP with CB trying to say the JTP line. That just cracks me up.
JP, JPT,
Yeah.
TPJ,
JPT,
what
TPJ.
TPJ?
If anyone remembers, put it in the chat. I don't remember it off the top of my
I
head.
think it was TPJ maybe,
TPJ.
or
It just cracked me up, and I love the JTP as a group. You know, uh, I I um I love the JTP as a group, and I desperately want to see like that's a spinoff I'd watch. Is those four actors?
oh, for sure. You know, that's a
Oh
different
yeah,
spinoff
yeah.
than our.
Jen was right. That was the season one finale with the JTP, the
Yeah.
PTJ, and then Andrew says he likes the Dr. Barry episode, which I think is,
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
another good episode.
any showcase of Troy Gentile is, or Gentile. They called him Gentile in the panel. I thought it was Gentile.
It's Gentile.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I love Barry. So anytime Barry was on Schooled is going to be my favorite episode of Schooled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we have one more question?
Do we have another question?
Yeah.
Did I miss one?
Oh no, I'm asking you.
Oh no, I don't think we have another like new question. We do have some funny things, like just great references. Like Kermit Defon says Columbia House is still looking for him, so you can't say where he's located. Which just like way to commit and stay in character. That's awesome. Such a great bit. 12 tapes for a penny.
Oh, great episode.
Yeah, that's you know, that one's so amazing. Um one thing I also wanted to say is like you're more like have your finger on the pulse of like Disney and Disney Channel and things like that. And so you saw Kim Possible like well before me. And we watched Kim Possible as a family one night during this quarantine saga. And I thought it was adorable. And I thought that Bria B's Bria B, she's just Bria. I keep calling her Bria B. Her um chemistry with Sean was fantastic. And I loved Sean in that. I thought he was just hilarious as the sidekick friend. I also thought that Taylor Ortega, who played one of the villains, I thought she was hilarious. And because of that movie, I started following her, and she's pretty funny. But anyways, as a side note, that made me believe more in Adam and Bria B because I saw Sean and her chemistry in that. And now I'm like, oh, okay, I get why they brought her in. They work well together.
They do work well together, and I think they have great chemistry. That's why I'm really excited for Adam's storyline this year, his arc this year. Not just being popular, but more Bria B, because I really like that character. I really like her as Adam's girlfriend. So yeah, she's great. Great little actress on the rise.
Um, yeah. And so wait, where was I? Oh yeah, I was going to ask like, and so for season 8, do you have like other hopes and dreams?
Um, always number one is Barry and Lainey. Got to have them get back together somehow. Um, But yeah, I mean, they've just, like Haley said, since but her and I haven't, never grew up in the 80s. So it's like, I feel like they've done all the 80s references that I know.
Oh no, there are more.
I know there are more. I know that there's like a world more of 80s references, but I I can't like pin one that I know that they haven't already done, you know? It would be cool maybe if they did some Guns N' Roses songs. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be cool. All right, so I feel like this is like our I think Andrew's like called our wrap up topic because this is something we were going to discuss today too. Is what do you say? Do you think season 8 is the last season? Andrew thinks it is.
I don't think it is, Andrew. Um, you know, I was skeptical at the end of last season and with school being canceled and everything, but with COVID, I think it really saved us another season. Um, I think there hasn't been that much buying of pilots for this, 2021 season. I think there's more room for older shows to stay in. Um, so I think it's definitely going to go another season. I do know however, that whenever it is the last season, I guarantee ABC will let the fans know that it will be the last season before it airs. Kind of how they gave Modern Family the courtesy that this is Modern Family's last season. They made
And,
it known
and,
for the whole
and did
season.
they do the same thing with the middle?
Yes. So
Because
we
it felt
know,
like I haven't finished yet, but I felt like you all were watching the middle and like very much building up to the end. Like you knew it was coming.
yeah, I
They
definitely
wrapped it
knew it
up
was the
well.
end.
I also think
Um,
wrapping up a show now is part of making it sellable and making it,
yeah,
like I don't think when you were doing syndicated episodes of Happy Days, anybody cared if you finished the show properly. But now, if you're going to start a show on Hulu and or Netflix and give it 40 hours of 40 more than 40 hours, 400 hours of your time or something like that, you're gonna need
400 is a lot of hours too,
that's
Shy.
fair. Well, 400 is you're right. That's a lot of hours. Okay, fine. So let's see. Let's say it's 200 episodes divided by 50 hours of your life. Okay, 50 hours of your life. A lot of people want to know: is this thing going to pay off, or is it going to How I Met Your Mother me?
And that speaks to our time where shows are more serialized now. I know you could pick up any Goldberg episode and have a great time watching it, but there are through lines throughout the season, and I think it's a little more serialized than your Happy Days era. So I don't, Andrew, I don't think it's the last season, thank God. And I do think they'll let us know when it is beforehand. So I think we're safe another year.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm ABC and during this quarantine period, I know a lot of people who have dug into the Goldbergs, a lot of people who like maybe casually watched it, but they were looking for a show to help take their mind off things or kind of make them feel close to their family. And they dug into this show. And in fact, there's that New York Times article, I think, that just came out about it. Right. Is that yeah.
Yeah.
And so I bet you yeah, I know Sony makes it, but Disney, I'm sure maybe Disney doesn't get money whatever it is. Hulu needs content, and the more content that all of these companies, the streaming companies with all these people at home can get, the better. And I bet you the metrics are doing just fine for the Goldbergs on Hulu right now, and that suggests let's keep pumping out Goldberg seasons. So maybe we'll get a couple more seasons. Now that being said, the contract part of it must be getting difficult because wouldn't after season 7 or 8 a lot of the actors' contracts actually be up? And
Yeah, I think this is a contract season for the actors.
So that's a lot of work to do in a time of economic downturn, although maybe the studios will use that as leverage against the actors and be like, which I don't love because I think those actors, deserve to be paid well for the joy they give to our lives, but maybe the studios will play some hardball saying like,
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I hope if they stay and they keep doing it, though, that they still love it and they still continue to be so great with the fans.
I think so.
Because
I think we're safe. And I think we're gonna have a year-long satisfactory ending to a show.
Yeah, they're going to be able to plan. It's going to be really good. I think we're going to get, for those of us that are learner heads, I think we're going to get a lot of great Jeff-olution.
Thank God.
He's going to be lutioning so hard.
So hard.
You know, I feel like after the great Murray lution, we're drifting on Murray a little bit. And I think that's okay. You know, how much is an older dude going to evolve at a certain point? But I can see like the kids really taking center stage in this last, you know, third of the show, you know, or however you want to call it. But this is the last act of the show. How many seasons that takes is a different story. But to me, the kids and their evolution is really, I guess, Bev's and how she copes with the world without being the mama bear all day is part of it too. But I think that wrapping up the story of those kids who started so young and setting them on their way for the next decade is going to be really important.
I agree. Absolutely.
Do you like the ticker? How fun is that? I'm having a lot of fun with our new streaming software. If you like it, let me know. It'll make me feel good about myself.
Let them know, fans. Let's see. Any more questions on Twitter? No questions on Twitter. I don't know. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock here. So yeah, I guess we should. Although I never want to stop talking about the Goldbergs or hanging out with you. So you know, Kermit wants to know if we can scroll the baseball scores.
My Twitter's always.
That's great. So I
no, we don't have that capability, Kermit.
Not yet. I'd have to be like live typing it, and then I wouldn't be able to react about the show. But it's so great to get together with the Goldnerds family. It just makes me so happy to see you and to see all the folks in the chat hanging out. It really warms my heart. I think everyone's been through so much in the last few months. It's nice to, oh, okay. I gotta give this. Just Jen has been mentioning Gritty very much this evening. Do you know who Gritty is, Lons?
Yeah, the mascot for I don't know which team, but
the Flyers. It was recent. Gritty was recently created in the last couple of years, and it's amazing because it's so incredibly Philly. Because Gritty, Jen, no, please, this is awesome. I love that you brought up Gritty. Gritty was recently created, and is just like it's. Imagine somebody took like leftover Muppet parts and just made them into this crazy character, which is so perfectly Philly. He's great. My only concern is that because he's so recent, I don't know how he would, unless it's a ponytail paradox situation and he appears in the show retroactively. I think it would be pretty tough. And so I think it would be pretty tough to have him, but I feel like what could be likely is, since hockey I think is coming back now, maybe we could have Gritty do some sort of Goldbergs promotional thing in the hockey arena. Like
that would be awesome.
We get Troy out in like a hazmat suit and like glass and
yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm all for that. Let's get Goldberg's promotions out everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So should we wrap up? Should we do our socials and our tags and our...
Yeah. I'm Lons, and you can find me at PKPrime12 on Instagram and PKPrime12 on Twitter. This has been a Goldnerds podcast. You can find the Goldnerds tags below. Shy, you want to go both of us now? There we are. You can find us at Twitter at Goldnerds, Instagram at the Goldnerds. Shy, what are your tags?
You can follow me at Pancake4Table on Twitter and Instagram. And you can catch me every week, not on video, but on audio on the Friday Night Movie Podcast with my sisters. And Lons has appeared a few times, and I'm sure will be appearing again sometime soon. I actually think my sister Becky's going to reach out to you, so we have some potential scheming cooperation to do soon. And
Awesome.
it's so great to do this. I guess there's only like a couple things left for us to say.
JTP out.
Have a summer. Thanks everybody for being here with us.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.